I have to say, feeling unseen is a bitch. I know. It's a hell of a way to start a video. But seriously, it's the hardest challenge I have because it's a part of my everyday living. And what I hear or how I'm being perceived. I spent years seeking validation from others. I remember the day I realized how unseen I felt and believed it to my core. It was 2021 when I recognized I had a love-hate relationship with social media. So I got curious as to why. I started paying a little more attention to my feelings. And then, after a while, I saw it. If no one liked or commented, I felt invisible. If I only had 5 likes and no comments, it still wasn't good enough. And I thought, wait, I have 5 likes. Why wasn't that good enough? That was a holy shit moment. That's when I discovered I felt unseen and my words didn't matter. Everything before that, I had no idea. That was the first time I put language to the feeling. And the awareness of that was so liberating. And so I thought I had finally understood the story. I just didn't realize life was about to reveal another layer. Going through the emotions of hurt, betrayal, less than, all of it brought on other feelings, such as feeling like I was my mom's oxygen. I always got a sense that if something were to happen to me, she would suffocate. I guess you could say I somehow felt responsible for her, almost like keeping her safe. I grew up having to ask permission to do anything or to go anywhere. Like, can I go over to a friend's house? Can I go over to the store? Can I go to the beach with my friends? That permission continued throughout my teenage years. I remember being 18 and asking my mom if I could go with my boyfriend to see his parents. And I also remember walking away feeling how wrong that felt, how controlled it was. I grew up in a pigsty household. My mother didn't manage the house. My siblings and I never had chores. My mom knew how bad the house was, and she was embarrassed because she was very strict about letting people in the house. The older I got, the more embarrassed I became, and the harder it became for me to even function. Looking back on it now, it even felt chaotic in my body. I remember one day when I was in high school, I came downstairs from my bedroom and I just stopped in the middle of the rooms. And I looked around and to see if anything that was mine that I had left laying around. Because I would hear my mom complain about how my siblings and I don't pick up after ourselves. I remember when I was old enough, when I moved out, I was obsessed with keeping my place cleaned and organized. In a quiet, subtle way, I had a sense that my ex-husband wouldn't be able to survive without me because I was the glue who held everything together. On a few occasions, he had said that to me, especially after my cancer diagnosis. And on those rare moments, that's when I felt seen. When we moved in together before we got married, we had a routine. Every Sunday, my ex would go to his parents' house and to do our laundry for the week. And I would stay behind and clean our apartment. And we got married, and 3 years later, we bought our house. And we no longer needed the same routine. My biggest challenge in those years was keeping up with the housework. It was me who made sure my ex was comfortable while trying to keep myself from spiraling into the chaos of a messy house. With my ex, he wanted a say in a lot of things. What color to paint the walls? Should we get carpet in or hardwood flooring? How much color could we afford? Should we replace this? And when we did decide to make some improvements in the house, it would take months, sometimes years, to do them. Or not at all. When I moved out into my own place in 2023 during our separation, it took me 4 months to realize I could actually buy a couch without his approval. That's how ingrained our routine was. Then I noticed something months later after moving out of the house. When the abuse was happening growing up, my mom would make excuses and didn't know how to protect me. It made me question my reality. When I expressed my need to my ex, or to take on a little more responsibility around the house, he couldn't meet me. When I would drop hints that I thought would grab my mom's attention, instead she looked the other way. And then my ex couldn't see how much I was carrying alone. 2 different situations, 2 different people, but the same feeling, unseen. Eventually, it wore me down. So I finally asked myself, can I be okay not having an emotional connection with my husband? And I was able to answer that honestly. I said yes. because I went to bed every night knowing I was loved by this man. Still, every day I would wonder if my feelings mattered, if my words had any meaning to him. But it really didn't matter because he loved me in his own way. And I knew that. Just like I knew my parents loved me the best they could. I truly believe that. It wasn't until I was living on my own, sitting with myself, no chaos, no noise, no responsibility to take the dogs for a walk, let them out, no running to the store to pick up last-minute items, no chasing this, that, and the third. When suddenly I realized I married my parents. I tried to maintain the household. I maintained, a yard. It was just a lot at the time. And so, yes, I sought validation outside my family dynamic, social media, my bosses, my friends, my colleagues, even the person standing in line with me at the grocery store. And those 5 likes on social media, they did see me. But I believe they were fake. Because if those who mattered most to me couldn't see me, then everyone else was lying. Dear you, your story is a journey, not a destination. Every awareness reveals another layer. Not because you failed to see it before, but because you're ready to understand it now. Growth isn't a straight line. It's an unfolding. So when life gently turns the mirror around, don't be afraid to look. Every new layer is another opportunity for understanding. Another opportunity for compassion. Another opportunity for healing. Sincerely, me.